Exes and T fans, it's Danny here. I'm so excited to be back with you guys. So sorry that it has been so long. The last few months have been kind of crazy, right? Between sports, school, therapies, I'm just so busy. um, but I wanted to come on here and talk about something that I feel like we just haven't really covered enough. And I don't know if anybody else has struggled with this, but I know that I have. So, first and foremost, I'm going to be talking about some companies today that I do not want to sue me. So, I'm not here to defame anybody, okay? I'm not here to tell you what to do or what not to do. I'm here to speak based on my personal experiences, my personal opinions. A lot of the people that I'll be talking about today, their names have been changed. I will be using their pseudonyms. I just don't want to get sued, okay? I'm just out here talking candidly about my story, all right? Cool. So today I want to talk about isolation after leaving a cult. I don't know. Did anybody else out there feel that same way when you left? Or are you afraid of that feeling if you haven't left yet? I find myself struggling anymore to connect with people. I know I left so many years ago now. I want to say maybe 6 years it's been really since I've been a part of a cult. And I still to this day struggle with connecting with other people. Granted, I was raised by a narcissistic woman who did not know how to develop and maintain friendships. So that's another thing, obviously, that is a part of my inability to maintain friendships. But being a part of the cult really did a number on me. I don't trust people anymore. I feel like I've learned to trust the wrong people, and that sucks. It so sucks to kind of look back and be like, man, I cannot fucking believe I trusted this person. And it's so infuriating to see how much time these people have taken and wasted. And it was sad, leaving the cult. I left this community of people who were supposed to be my best friends. And I think I gaslit myself into loving the environment, right? There was a lot of toxic things, but it was the community that I was in that really made the cult such a place that I wanted to be. In fact, recently I was just kind of sitting alone and I was like, man, I kind of miss that environment. I miss being surrounded by so many different people, even though it was all fake, for a period of time it was taking me out of my reality and I was surrounded by people. I'm an extrovert and I love people. I love being around people, and being in isolation is an extremely challenging thing for me. Um, just to be, really candid here, I'm raising two children who are neurodivergent, and I really don't talk a lot about what it's like to be a parent of a child with autism, purely because I do not want to be like, the worldwide dream builders who are out there advertising to the world that they should be pitied because of all the things that they do. I I loved that shout out Nandi. She called them Brat and Miley. I love those names, by the way, but it's the club owner and his wife. His wife was, made an autism awareness post that really wasn't autism awareness. It was feel bad for me because of what I have to do, right? She's like, "Oh, I drive 2 hours one way to get the kids to their school," but it's like, you don't work full time. That's what you do. 4 hours out of your day is nothing. And then I started to think about all of the people that they coach to drive Uber Eats, DoorDash after their full time job just to fund their business, which keeps lining the club owner and his wife's pockets. I mean, oh, I'm sorry. And in this post too, and I made a post about this, like a reel, but in her post, she talked about how they had to sell their V8 to get an electric car because of this 4 hour drive she's making every day. And again, it pales in comparison to what people are doing for them. It's so like that's the least she could do. She doesn't work a full time job. And let me tell you, I do the same thing. Okay. I drive sometimes 6 hours in one day because I chose to put my kid in a school that is an hour away from our home, because we have the privilege to do that. It is something that I don't take for granted. I'm very privileged and very glad that I have the opportunity to do that because I want him to be in the best environment that is going to be best for him. And it's so frustrating because it's really nothing. It's like 1 hour there. Sometimes traffic kind of sucks, but it's not that bad. I get to listen to music, right? I bet you anything she's listening to audios. If she's not clearing Kate's, what the hell is she doing? Am I right? And it's like it's an hour there, right? And an hour back. And then an hour there and an hour back. It's really not that bad. Okay, I do it too. And I do it in my gas guzzler cuz I can't afford to buy an electric vehicle, right? And what's funny is just shout out you guys. I paid cash for my car, something that they were not able to help me do despite all of their promises to do so. So it's just really kind of sad to hear the way and to see the way that they depict being a parent of a child of with autism. And there is something to it, there is a little bit of an isolation that comes with it because there's a lot of things that we are not able to do because we want to make sure that the environment's most comfortable for my children. Loud environments and crowded spaces are not good for them, makes them uncomfortable. And even though those are places I might want to go, they don't want to be there. It doesn't matter what I want. It matters what they want. If I would love to be able to, go visit people or, go to amusement parks or what have you. But those are things that my children are, one, not really interested in yet, and two, just an environment that's not comfortable for them. So we just don't go. I mean, sure, we can, as we learn, we are making modifications for them to be able to enjoy the things that they do like. But we stay home a lot. We are home a lot. And it was really hard to get used to that. And it kind of brought me back to when I left Worldwide and the isolation that I kind of still have. Being a part of Worldwide, like I said, I learned how to make all of the wrong friends. And it really hurts to like look back and think of, the trust that I put into these people only to see who they really were behind closed doors. And that is the saddest fucking thing. I swear to God. I had a friendship breakup in my life that was so hurtful to me, probably one of the worst ones that I'd had. And it was really just because I found out who that person was behind closed doors. And Lord help me, it was so, so devastating to find out. But hey, you know what? Life's so much better without all of these different people that I'm no longer friends with, to be honest. And, you know, the biggest thing I think that kept me around was the community. But I know I didn't know these people, but I didn't need to know them, right? I was just there and I saw their smiling faces. I loved talking to them. And it was something that drew me away for just a brief period of time from my job, from being a mom, from the toxic environment that I lived in with my own mother. And here we are now, 6 years later. And sometimes I do still miss that environment. I miss being around people. And I think that it's something that I really struggle with. And I'm definitely working on it. Mental health is so, so important. And I've been struggling with my mental health, if I'm being real. I've just been struggling so much. It has been hard sometimes to consider even getting on here after sometimes a sleepless night and a long day, just because my son sometimes doesn't sleep through the night, and that's okay. It's more important for me to make sure that he is squared away than anything else. And I'm just so grateful for everybody who has been so supportive of me and telling me, take your time, family comes first. Like, y'all are the best. I cannot tell you guys how much I am grateful for this community that we have cultivated here, that the anti-MLM community really are literally some of the most supportive people that I've ever met. And it's really refreshing because these people are real. You guys are all so real. And I'm so grateful to have either gotten to talk to all of you or that you guys are spreading the message or sharing the podcast, like whatever you guys are doing, it's literally the best. So thank you guys again so much. I just want to thank everybody, any opportunity that I have. Um, but I just wanted to kind of come here and discuss this whole isolation thing. A lot of it's going to be redundant. I'm probably going to repeat myself. So I apologize for that ahead of time, but y'all already know. If y'all listen to me, y'all already know. I'm ADHD brained. It's going to go a little all over the place. But I was just thinking about how depressed I was when I left Worldwide. I was really fucking depressed because I went from doing something and feeling like I had a purpose to thinking I didn't have a purpose. And 6 years later, I still struggle to wonder what the fuck is my purpose. I lost, like, I burnt myself out so much in those 3 years that I lost my motivation to really do anything. I was afraid that I was going to hate my job. And I just have always wanted to do something. But I don't know. I still don't know what the fuck I want to do, if I'm being real. Um, but it was hard to even want to do anything. I am still afraid to go to college. I think Antonia actually said so too, that she had this fear of pushing herself too much because of how much she pushed herself when she was in Worldwide. And I can so relate to that. The late nights, the staying up, and pushing myself beyond capacity just sounds so scary because I did it for so long for nothing. It literally feels like I did nothing for myself for 3 years, but waste my time. And a lot of my money is gone now as a result of that. Um, but they really made me feel, and a lot of us, kind of said the same thing, but they really make you feel like you have a purpose. Like you're out here changing the world. We're helping people. We're, the ones who are going to be free one day from our jobs. And I had a vision. I had what I was going to do. And then when I realized what it was like, well, what am I going to do now? And I still don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I want to do. I know right now that my job is to take care of my children, which is great. I love the fact that I can do that as a job. But it is not my end all be all. I really want to be able to find myself outside of parenthood. And that was another thing that I was thinking about, was finding out who I was outside of the cult. Like it's kind of like two different sides of you. Like there's you at the functions and they tell you to be that same person 24/7, but none of us really were, you know? And I cursed like a sailor outside of the fucking meetings. I was listening to music sometimes, but I really lost who am I after being a part of that whole organization. Not only that, I was leaving a domestic violence relationship as well. And that in itself took a huge toll on me. And now I have also continued to detox from a very toxic relationship that I had my entire life. And that was with my mom. That is another just really big pain point. I'm almost a year of no contact with my mom. And I'm really proud of myself for that because I do not ever have any intention of communicating with her again. I mean, living with her was like living with a cult leader. It's either their way or the highway, and they'll gaslight you and they'll make you feel like shit, but then they're the victim at the end of the day. Which I look back and I kind of see that I was that way when I was in the cult. And that's where I kind of look at who I was in the cult and trying to figure out, well, who am I? And I still kind of struggle with that to this day. Like, healing is not linear. It just me some people find themselves. Some people like Meredith has a fantastic business that she is killing it in. And that's somebody who found that after leaving. And then you have people like me who are out 6 years later and still don't know what the fuck the rest of my life's gonna look like. And sometimes it's really scary. Sometimes it's really scary to be like, oh shit. I really thought that I was like, I thought for sure right now I would be retired, quote, from my job, right? And that's obviously not the case. I mean, I still have a job. I don't have your traditional 9 to 5 right now. But I'm not doing what I thought I was going to be doing. And sometimes it's really sad because I wish I hadn't wasted 3 years of my life in that cult. I wonder where I would be if I hadn't. I don't know that I would have my second child, to be honest, just because I wouldn't have been back in that abusive relationship that did produce my second child. I love him so much, but that is a reality of the situation. And it's just really strange. I didn't want kids to begin with, if I'm being honest. I love my children. I love them so much. I'm so glad I have them. They're fun. But when I was younger, I didn't want kids. That was not on my radar. And so having one was great. And now having two it's hell. I love it. But back then, I didn't want a second child. So being a part of that abusive relationship that they pushed me back into really just did so much damage. And it's still something that I look back on 6 years later. I keep saying that. How the fuck am I still here 6 years later, just thinking about how much I hate these people for what they did to my life? They derailed my life so much. And I am still so angry about it. Like, and I feel bad saying that because I always say, go to therapy and I advocate for therapy a lot. And I'm in therapy and I'm just working through these things. And I am still like, I have guilt for feeling bad the way that I do, which is so weird because in Worldwide, the fact that we did act like victims when people would not join our business, right? When they would ghost us, and it was all of a sudden like, oh, it's on them. They're the horrible people. And it was really us all along, right? We all know that. And now I'm just I'm shocked at the fact that there's part of me that feels like I can't be angry because it's been so long that I'm supposed to have gotten over it. And that was another thing they always taught us was, oh, well, you have to get over the past. You have to look forward to the future. Like, motherfucker, where is my future? Where's this future that y'all promised? Because I know none of my upline are living the future that they said they would. None of them. Absolutely fucking none of them. And I feel bad for them because obviously they're still in the cult, right? They're still brainwashed. And it was them though who made me feel like I can't have feelings. And of course, again, being with an abuser who was the same way, you're not allowed to feel. You show feelings, you're weak. The same with a narcissistic parent. It's always they're the victims. I mean, if I'm being honest, I lost like a good half of my family because I cut my mother off. And I don't it doesn't bother me because the people that I have around are truly incredible people who have stood by me and support me. And I do have family who is very supportive of me. And I love that. Like those people are amazing. So like shout out, you know who you are. But I lost a lot of my family, and losing those people was a lot like losing out when I left Worldwide because I worked to build these relationships, right? But were they really relationships if these people are not willing to come and ask me for the truth? Of course not. Those are not the kind of people that I want in my life. Similarly to the people that I left in Worldwide, none of those people knew me. Nobody came and asked me why I left. Nobody cared. In fact, I reached out, and I mentioned this before, that I reached out to an old cross line, and she literally said that why I left was none of her business. And it's really sad that there's no part of them that questions like, dude, like why'd you leave? Like what happened? And I would love to just be like, man, the things that you guys don't even know that's going on is really fucking sad. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's so frustrating for me sometimes to look back and be like, man, like I wasted 3 fucking years. And then there's the moving forward afterwards, right? I'm like I said, I'm a year away from a year out from talking to my mom, and there's family members like I said that I don't talk to anymore. And the healing process has been very similar. You're leaving these people that, like I said, I thought I had these relationships with, but then it's like, where do I go from here? Like, I can't just, have this new family. That would be great, but I can't just make them happen. I can't do that. Um, so what do you do? What do you do when you're feeling so isolated and lonely because of the people who isolated you? I mean, when we left Worldwide, all of us, we would see people leave and they would say, oh, we don't, like, they're losers, they're quitters. And we weren't allowed to ask about them. Hell, we weren't even allowed to talk to them after they left. Like, I mean, sure, no one was holding a gun to our head, but in all reality, none of us did because we were so brainwashed into thinking that if they left, that's bad. Like, they're bad people. And now that's me. I was the bad person when I left Worldwide, but in all reality, that's not the case. I left because I was broke. I left because I did not have the capacity to do those things anymore. And then I have come to learn over time that they're just manipulative people that I do not want to be associated with. But that took a lot of time to realize and recognize. And I still fucking struggle with that 6 years later. But I guess I was re triggered by leaving the situation that I was in, choosing to disconnect from my mother. And then I lost all these people. And I was like, what the fuck? This sucks. This is a familiar feeling. And so now it's going through all of those emotions all over again of, well, maybe I should, go back. I miss these people. Maybe I should call them and see how they're doing, and maybe they'll accept me back in. right? Because I'm lonely. Same with when I was in Worldwide. But I always knew that I shouldn't because that was not good for me. When my dad is telling me that it's good to be away from them, then obviously I'm making a good decision because, shout out, my dad is very supportive of me and my disconnecting from my mother because the only other person in this world who has ever lived with my mother as long as I have is my father. No one else knows my mom to that extent. They can all say that they do, but that's bullshit. Similar to these people in Worldwide, like the new people who come in, I just feel for them because they don't know what we know. But I didn't know what I know now until I left and until I learned from a lot of you out there who have come and been brave and shared your stories. Because when I first started this, and I say this all the time, I did not expect for it to gain the traction that it did. I did not realize that so many different people had the same experiences. And I think that's why I'm okay with being as transparent as I am now because I can't be the only one who feels this way. If you do, I just let him, you're not alone. You are not alone. But it's depressing. It's depressing to leave an environment like that. I mean, it's like you put your whole life into something and then you leave. And then it just kind of feels like a part of you is missing, like something is empty. And then what do you fill it with? Like, I'm so happy for everybody who has found themselves after they left the cult. If y'all have any advice, please let me know because a girl could use some advice on what the hell to do. But ultimately, I just wanted to come on here and talk about how challenging it is to live life normally after you've left a cult because you can't. I personally don't feel like there's ever really a normal. I'll never be who I was before I was in Worldwide. And sure, there are a lot of things that I left behind, which I'm really grateful for. You know, like I've mentioned before, and I'm very open about the person who I was before Worldwide is not a good person. Now, Worldwide is not the reason why I changed. In fact, they were the ones who kind of made me make the shift because they would say that this business is for everyone. But yet, it's not. They're very, very exclusive people, not inclusive. There's so much racism and bigotry just that they do openly too, which is disgusting. But it was seeing all of that that made me realize how shitty of a person I was and I wanted to change. And I made those changes myself. I mean, so many people have told me like, hey, do not give credit to them. You know, shout out to Rebecca. She was the one who was like, hey girl, do not give the credit, you did the work. So I really appreciate that. But it's sad to look back and hate myself for being a part of it, right? Just the questions that I have of like, who would I be if I didn't do this, and where would my life be if I hadn't, right? But really, it's I'm glad I'm gone. I'm so fucking glad to be away from that shit. I mean, I couldn't imagine living my life right now with 5-day a week therapy and still trying to do the business. And I don't have a full-time job. You guys, there are people out there who do what I do with full-time jobs. I don't like speaking about what I do purely because I don't want to come from a place of privilege. Like I know how privileged I am to be able to be at home with my kids. That's not the case for a lot of people. So, no, I'm not going to complain about, you know, having to drive 4 hours because I get to drive 4 hours. Some people don't. Some people are stuck with what they're given and it makes me like sad. Like I want to tear up because I just know how many moms out there who might be struggling or dads or parents, like whoever, who are struggling because they might feel in the same isolation, but they have to go to a full-time job too. And I wish more states offered what Arizona does in the parent provider program. And I think California has it as well. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there. And I look at these fucking leaders and think, God, how dare you stand on a stage and be so privileged and have the audacity to complain? Complain. Are you fucking kidding me? You guys have money that you're stealing from people, in my opinion. I believe that they're stealing it because they're not divulging where their fucking income is coming. They're telling you, oh, I got all this money from Amway. No, the fuck, they're not. I wouldn't even say a fraction of their money is coming from Amway. A majority of their money is coming from the tools that they are selling. Okay? They don't get these freaking Lamborghinis from Amway. Okay, they're not, there's just no way. And I actually saw the anti MLM kid. Shout out. She is an incredible creator. If you guys are not following her on TikTok, please do. She just has so much advocacy, especially towards Amway. I do believe, and I could be wrong, but I do believe that she was raised in Amway. Like her parents were in Amway. She doesn't divulge which the line of affiliation that they were a part of. Um, but or like she doesn't mention that at all, but she does a lot of great content because she has a lot of insight on Amway. And she made that point actually. She was pointing out that there was a video out there, and it's really infuriating to look at these people who made these promises to us and to find out that they were all lies. Like, how fucking dare you steal 3 years and $30,000 from me only to lie about where your income is coming from? Why not be transparent about that, y'all? Fucking tell me. I know there's a lot of hate watchers that listen. Or hate listeners, whatever. Like, there are people in worldwide who have heard this podcast. Okay. I know you're listening. I dare you. If you do not like what I or my guests have to say, don't message them. Leave my guests alone. Okay. Come to me. Come talk to me. I would love to have a conversation with you. Come on. I dare you. Come have a conversation with me openly. Let's have a discussion and let's talk about it. What the fuck am I not seeing? What am I wrong about? Right? Or are you just going to hate listen, go complain about me in a Kate or whatever fucking line of affiliation you're a part of and whatever your communication device is, but go complain about it to your upline. That's literally all you can fucking do. I'm getting a little fired up because I would love to have a conversation with somebody who is still actively a part of these organizations and have a full on conversation. And none of them have the balls to actually do that, though. Okay. I'm the one who's putting my face out here. Some of my guests, too, putting their faces out to speak their truth. Okay. None of us are lying. You can't tell me that any of these people I've never met before, people who are absolute strangers, are coming to me and we all have a very similar story. I'm sorry, but this is not a conspiracy against Amway that we're all lying about. No, that's not the thing that we're doing here. We're all just telling a truth. But unfortunately, we all found out after we left. And there are still people that a lot of us actually care about who are still in the business. I don't know how I feel about my upline. I kind of go back and forth like, do I hate them? Do I feel bad for them? Do I wish the best for them? Like, really struggle with that. I'm not a vindictive person, but the people who really fucked me over in my life, like, piss me off. And I know people say, oh, well, you're such a hater. I live rent free in your head or whatever. It's like, yeah, you fucking traumatized me. Of course I think about you sometimes and how much you fucking traumatized me. Of fucking course I do. Like, there are a select few people who really fucked me over that I'm just like, man, I fucking cannot stand these people because they fucking traumatized me and they did me dirty. So if that's you, man, fuck off. Fuck you. Okay. I'm just like, I'm just fired up, you guys. I'm just thinking about everything. I also just wanted to put towards the end of this here that there are creators out there who are a part of the anti-MLM movement that I am just not in support of. Okay, I want to make that very, very clear. I do not support these conspiracy theories that go into religion and the Freemasons and all that bullshit. Okay, that's not my platform. That's not what I'm here for, and that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about realistic things that I personally feel like are a lot more digestible to the average person. Now, if you want to believe in those things, by all means, do your own research and feel free to think whatever you want. But I'm not going to sit here and support creators who are pushing their religious abuse and their conservative, extreme right wing agenda. I just don't. And I'm not going to. So if that's you, I'm sorry, but I don't support you. So don't come to my platform asking me to share your message or whatever. It's not for me. Also, religious abuse is another thing that I've really come to learn about. And you guys, we have some great episodes coming about that because I have learned so fucking much about these people who've even come to me after the fact who are still out here publicly abusing people with their religion. Okay. I've seen it in the comments section of some of the other anti-MLM posts. People who are just still throwing shade at people because of, and all in the name of a religion, of God. That's another reason why I think I still struggle with religion too. It's like, I don't want to ever think about the fact that that a God that I believe in is so hateful towards people. Like, there's no fucking way. Okay. I don't care if you are they, gay, non-binary, which I think they cover, sorry. But I don't care who you are as a human. Like, you're an incredible person and you deserve whatever peaceful afterlife you believe in, whether that's, heaven or, whatever that happens to be for you. But nobody gets to tell you what that is. Okay. And if you're out here pushing that fucking agenda, pretending to be anti-worldwide, fuck off. Okay. Shut the fuck up and fuck off because you're not doing anything but continuing to push this agenda. You see, a lot of us left because of the religious abuse. Okay. A lot of us left because we were so sick and tired of being told what to think and what to feel. And it's just the same message that Worldwide is preaching, but outside of Worldwide, if you know what I'm saying. So I've seen it and I'm just so infuriated by shit like that. Like it's so sad. I'm not a person of faith, and I never know what my relationship is with God because I keep seeing people do this shit. But I've had some amazing people too who have come and talked to me about their faith and have really just kind of enlightened me on things. And I like I said, I have some amazing episodes coming from those people. And I've really just learned a lot, you know, and coming on here and ranting sometimes just makes me feel so much better. So I hope you guys are okay with this little bit of a ranty kind of episode. But it is all because of the isolation that I experienced. It all really just comes full circle, you know. Don't have a huge outlet. So this is my outlet. Getting to talk to you guys is my outlet. I don't get to talk to very many adults on a day-to-day basis. So thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk. No, but thank you for listening. I do appreciate it. And I hope that if there's any sort of, you know, anything that you got from this, I really hope that you understand that I am here for you. I am supportive. And I just want everybody to know that you are welcome on this platform. And that's why I do not support platforms that are homophobic and that push a very bigoted agenda. I just can't. You know, I don't know. It just infuriates me so much. But yeah, so I just wanted to come on here and just really discuss how emotions can fluctuate when you leave an organization like that and when you're kind of left to your own devices and you're left to your own thoughts. I mean, you got to imagine. And I think Jenna and Stefan said it perfectly when they came on and they talked pretty frequently about it. But that you, when you wake up in the morning, when you're a part of Worldwide or any sort of other cult, you're listening to somebody else's voice. You're driving to work listening to somebody else's voice. You are continuing to clear Kate's or whatever device you have to clear, right? You're listening to somebody else's voice. None of those are original thoughts. And Nandi also had said that she got to a point where she couldn't even hear her own voice. Okay. So when you go from somebody chirping in your ear constantly about success principles and positivity and don't be the victim, even though like we act like the victim all the time, you go from that to nothing. It's like silence. And sure, there are moments in time where I get to listen to a podcast or two or some music. Mostly I listen to kids' music. Shout out to anybody whose kids also listen to super simple songs. We're on Rymington Square. If you know, you know, okay? But you know, a lot of my life right now is not for me. And it's okay. I'm okay. You know, if my kid is upset in the car and he doesn't want to listen to my Eric Church, like that's okay. We'll listen to Rymington Square. It's so cute because it sounds like Tsunami Square. What's so great too is just the little successes as well. When you are a parent to a child who has some sort of quote unquote delay, right? Speech delay or maybe milestones, right? And a lot of that comes with, you know, autism. And it just the little things are huge. And I can't imagine how stressful life would have been and not being able to appreciate those little things if I was still a part of Worldwide. Because I would be like, no, I'm sorry, we can't listen to Tsunami Square. Sorry, we have to listen to this audio because I have to keep my upline to say that I did it. Right. And then not only that, it's like, well, they'll tell you if you push aside some time and you have this delayed gratification, your life will be better for your kids. I want to know how the kids are doing who are being raised a part of Worldwide. Like, I want to know. And I'm not talking about the Diamonds kids. I want to know how the average fucking person, how their kids are doing. Because I don't think that they're going to be okay. We're getting to the point now where some of the people that I knew, their kids are like grown. Like, I would love to know how their kids feel. How many of these parents who claim that their kids are going to be a part of the business, how many still are? You know, the anti-MLM kid, she did a fantastic TikTok about how like there's not very many second generation Amway people. Like there's just not. I mean, sure, if you were in the organization and you knew the parents and their kids went double diamond or whatever the fuck, that's a rarity. And we're the people who took over their parents' businesses. What do they call them? Legacy diamonds, right? But you really just didn't see a whole lot of people building the business with their parents. I mean, in my upline, I did see that. My upline, John and Barbara, they were sponsored by whatever, like, what did I call them? Brittany and Justin, maybe? Yeah, them. And that was a very interesting situation. I hope they get out one day, but I feel like they're just narcissistic enough to continue staying because they all know they've been Q12 for I mean, if they've maintained qualification, that is. But they've all been Q12 and know about the quote secret money for at least 5, 6, 7 years. And they're still there doing it, lying to their downline. So I think that they'll stay. I think they're lifers. But I really want to know how the kids are doing. Are your kids okay? Have you asked them? Have you seen their faces of discomfort when you're out there trying to drop the message and they just want to go? Maybe like I've heard too from people who lived in a community where there was an upline who their kids played on the same sports team as somebody that they knew, and just the way that these people, these upline, they're out there like trying to poach people at fucking baseball games, basketball games. Right. I'm waiting for the day when somebody comes and tries to approach me at a sporting event, y'all. I am dying to get the message dropped to me because oh, do I have plans? Do I have plans? And believe me, I'm taking you guys along for the ride if it ever happens. But, you know, these people are everywhere. And I want to, it's like, are your kids okay? It's just pretty much the ultimate message that I want to know. Because I look back and my son was very young. He doesn't remember a lot of it, but I don't think he was okay during that time. I mean, sure, I tried to make it sound fun, like, oh yeah, we're going and doing Postmates at until 12 o'clock at night, making extra money. And it was great because sometimes he got like a free slice of pizza or some sort of drink from one of the restaurants we would be at, which was so awesome. But that wasn't good. Why the fuck was I keeping my then 6-year-old out until midnight? And I was pregnant. Like, those are the things that I did because I thought I was doing what was best for my son. I really did. But the guilt that I have too, oh my God. Okay. So in addition to the isolation, the guilt. Oh God, I have so much guilt for ever having my kids around these people. I mean, the fact that the Syrian guy really didn't fucking care that my kid went missing at an event just struck a fucking chord with me so much because these people are supposed to be your best friends, and yet nobody put out a Kate or sent out some sort of text message saying like, "Hey, this child, keep an eye out," something, anything, nothing. Absolutely nothing. That was the day I think I really realized that they don't give a fuck about me. And but the guilt that I feel by ever putting my kid in that environment really sucks. I my youngest will never know what that's like, thank God. But my oldest, he doesn't remember, and that's great. But I remember. I was there. I put him through that. He spent a lot of time with his toxic ass grandmother because I needed to go to meetings. And that was somehow better for my kid. No, the fuck it wasn't. That's emotional trauma that my kid will carry for the rest of his life. All in the name of quote progress. That sucks too. I paid a lot of money for babysitters who would come and go. It sucks because, like, yes, everybody kind of has that understanding that, yes, babysitters come and go. But if you have a neurodivergent child who is so reliant on the community around him and the environment, you know that instability like that is so traumatizing and it's very hard. It's a struggle. Right. So he would make friends with maybe like a babysitter that we have had their child that they would bring because we had a couple babysitters who did that. He would get close to them and then they'd just disappear and then nothing. And then, that's a transition for my children that is very challenging. A lot of kids who are neurodivergent struggle with transitions or a change in your day-to-day schedule. And our schedule was literally never consistent, ever. So that was another thing. When it came to leaving, the isolation, the guilt, and then it was like, well, how do we structure our days now? Like, what do we do? Creating that consistency, I think, was really important, and I'm really, really proud of myself for being consistent now. We have a daily schedule that virtually looks the exact same every single day. We have therapy 5 days a week. We wake up at the same time every day. We don't eat the same breakfast. Sometimes we do, but the expectation is the same every single day, and that has really helped my kids thrive, and it's really helped me thrive too. I get sad sometimes and I cry because I'm like, oh, I miss the spontaneity. I was always known as somebody who was very nomadic. My dad was always saying that about me. You can never stand still, and all you want to do is drag your kids all across the country, and that's not good. And I really recognize that he was right. I can't imagine what it would be like to take my kids to different places. Like I saw pictures that what did I say? Brat and Miley, that the club owner's wife was posting about them being like in Mexico, just her vacation pictures and shit, right? And I'm like, God, I fucking hate these people because I can't do that. It's hard enough for us to maintain a respite provider. Like, yes, we have a lot of things. If you're not from Arizona, like we have a lot of privileges here that, if your child qualifies, like your child can get respite that's paid for by the state, and people who are respite providers can come in and really take the load off for a little bit. But there's a huge shortage in providers, and a lot of people have family and friends do it. We don't have family or friends here. So it's literally just us and we don't get a break. It's literally 24/7. I wish I could go to Mexico and take somebody with us to take care of my kid, right? Um, but I can't. Right. And that's another thing too. Again, why I try my best not to complain because it's okay. Like I'm fine. But that's why it pisses me off that somebody like the club owner's wife would again talk about it on social media as if it's a fucking problem. It's like, dude, you get to do that. Nobody else is out here posting pictures from Mexico. A lot of us are just trying to fucking survive, whether you have a neurodivergent child or not. A lot of people just can't go on those types of trips in general, let alone people who have children with disabilities. Okay, that's a level of fucking privilege that I am so sick of fucking seeing from these folks. So fucking tired of it. But again, back to my point is that they have such an inconsistency with their life because of being a part of the business. And sure, maybe because, oh, they're diamonds, and that's bullshit. We all know that diamonds have to continue hustling in order to maintain their diamondship, which we don't even know if these people are still in qualification or if they're still fighting to go back. Who knows? Are they even back on the speaking circuit? If you left recently, let me know if the club owner and his wife are back on the speaking circuit. If you don't know who that is, it is the guy who owned a club in Portland, Oregon. And yeah, the rest, you know who he is, okay? um, but I don't, these people, they have to work so fucking hard for the rest of their lives. They're not really retired, right? And those are the types of thoughts that, of course, after talking it out, I understand. But when you're isolated and you're kind of left to your own thoughts, it's like, fuck, did I fail? Like, did I do something wrong? Was it really me the whole time? And that's the gaslighting that they did to us, to all of us. Anybody who was a part of an organization like that or a toxic relationship, whether that's a toxic friend, toxic significant other, toxic parent, whatever toxicity that is, the person has gaslit you enough to make you question yourself. And you shouldn't question yourself ever. Because if you feel it deep in your soul, that's the fucking truth. And these people really made us feel fucking shitty. And I'm angered by it. But, that's why I feel so grateful to have this community of people because when you leave an organization like Worldwide or any of the various cults that are out there, every different MLMs, you have to understand that there's healing that has to be done and sometimes it's never ending. I really, like I said before, I'll never be who I was before I was in Worldwide. I'll never be who I was before I had kids. And now I have created this life that, they always preach against, right? Like you don't want to buy a house, which shout out, we're going to buy a house. I'm so fucking excited that that's even a fucking possibility for us. I never thought it was going to be possible. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful because also another thing is I didn't see a lot of healthy relationships despite the fact that they try to tell us that they're all healthy, right? They're not healthy. Oh my God. The amount of toxic marriages that I'm sure that I don't even know about, it's so sad. But I'm happy that I have a healthy relationship with a significant other that is stable. I mean, this is a person that Worldwide would have told me never to be a part of because he didn't want to be a part of the business. He plays video games, but he has worked his ass off to double his income and really work hard for not just himself but for his family and me too. I have worked extremely hard to also double my income and be able to provide, right? We both work full time, okay? And the fact that I have been able to maintain this relationship is amazing for me because if you know what it's like to grow up with somebody who has BPD, which I don't want to continue spreading stigma, but it is a reality that I have learned from people who have BPD, is that there is a difficulty in maintaining relationships. My cousin Alyssa was amazing and very transparent about that, but I never saw what that was like. So it's like I went from having one toxic parent to having many toxic parents and Worldwide because they didn't either, right? I can't even imagine how many wonderful marriages that they split up because of how shitty people they are. They would have absolutely broken apart me and this person that I'm with. And I'm so grateful that I don't have that. And it's great, being able there is something to be said about being able to maintain a relationship for a long period of time. It is hard work. I never knew that. I always thought that relationships were the exciting, romantic, and that was going to be it. And then it was like, well, no, you're going to argue. You're going to have a lot of different life events come up. And if you really care about each other, you're going to make it through. That's not something that Worldwide ever really taught, surprisingly enough, because they pitched this whole 4% divorce rate and healthy marriages and all that shit. But they were pushing people to get married, but then they were also like splitting couples apart. That was so crazy to also look back and be like, damn, like the amount of people who had like girlfriends come and go was really sad. And I feel like if I was there longer, that probably would have been me too. And eventually you just kind of have to end up marrying somebody in the business, because what the fuck else are you going to do? Okay. Unless you find somebody on the outside world who's like equally as great and you find your diamond husband or whatever. But a lot of people just end up marrying others from the business. And it's just so devastating. But these are the thoughts from isolation. Just different things that I've come to realize. But yeah, so I just want to thank everybody again for just being so supportive. I'm going to come back with another episode. You guys, I'm so excited. I'm going to try to have that out later this week, but I can't make any promises because as much as we have a very stable consistency, there's also some very chaotic moments that just kind of pop up out of nowhere. So it's very structured, but also some chaos. And yeah. So, anyways, I really appreciate you guys. If you guys want to come on here and share a story, or really just share your feelings about a cult that you were in, or, some trauma that you held, or mental health, or whatever it happens to be, please DM me on Instagram at exesandt.podcast. You guys can also email me at dani@exesandtpodcast.com. You guys can find me wherever podcasts are heard, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So we'll catch you guys in the next episode.